You know, if you asked me in 2016, 2019, or hell, even last year, that out of these three, I would be rooting for this prick, I would have punched you. But yet, here we are. All right. For those of you that don't know, Idubbbz made 2 content cops on H3H3. And I gotta say, this is the most horrendous video by any commentator. Actually, no, I wouldn't go that far. But it is the most horrendous content cop this guy's ever made, all right? It literally has no point. It's contradictory, both of them, really. But let's talk about it. Before we talk about Idubbbz, though, we gotta give some context as to how we got here, specifically involving this prick and his entire community. The brief rundown is, well, basically H3H3 and Hassan used to be good friends. They even had a podcast together where they would talk about politics and just practically, clown on any political thing going on at the time, figure, anything, really, specifically right-wingers. That is until a certain topic became a little bit relevant. You might have heard of it. It's called Palestine versus Israel, and, well, Hassan is on the Palestinian side and H3H3 is on the Israel side, right? And because of this topic, because both of them have very different ideas of how it should be handled, they basically broke the podcast. Fast forward to January 31st of this year, of 2025, Ethan drops a content nuke, basically calling out Hassan for his hypocrisies, his lies, on covering the whole subject and just misrepresenting and really just being pro-terrorism, and not even just Hassan, but also the people around him, his community, and Twitch, the platform itself, and its CEO. Now, after this video, H3H3 got a bunch of harassment to the point where even CPS was called, and I want you to keep that in mind, because that's going to be important very later on. Now, during all this, the usual commentators, stepped up and talked about it, and practically, took the side of Ethan, but strangely enough, there was one guy who stayed silent, that being Idubbbz, and even H3H3 called this out. How is it that Idubbbz, a good friend of Ethan, was staying silent? Especially when Ian has worked with these people before and is even friends with them. But yet he's staying practically neutral or silent. Even after the CPS call was made, he stayed silent. However, Idubbbz released a video on April 16th called Content Cop, with Content Deputy being released 2 weeks later on May. So in the first content cup, Idubbbz says that, the reason why he's doing this is because, he cares about his friend, he sees Ethan as a friend and, he wants to help him, and, the only way to get through to him is by making this video, and that, he's not going to be silent, he's not going to take it anymore. He's going to set his ass straight, by doing this, and that, everyone as a collective should empathize with him because he's going through so much. He's being harassed by the internet, and some of it, he's bringing it on to himself by constantly looking at hate comments, Reddit posts, Twitter, everything, all the negative stuff. He needs to calm down and stop attacking his friends. And yet he does this by literally teaming up with people who are currently at war with Ethan or who have beef with him, dancing, calling him delusional, telling him to wake up and that he's crazy, and he has this sword with him throughout the video and even takes a picture with it, which we'll get into that a little bit. All right, just keep that in the back of your mind, okay? And towards the end of the video, not only is he crying because he empathizes with his friend, but he also gets people that are in Hassan's community, well, actually everyone except Hassan, to say something nice about Ethan, and to bring him back to his senses. But then we fast forward to the next video, Content Deputy, where all that shit gets thrown out the fucking window. Idubbbz immediately says, or not actually immediately, but later on in the video, he says that him and Ethan were never really friends and that it was just a parasocial relationship, and that he only saw him and respected him as a content creator, all right? And that, yes, they met up and they did some videos together, but they were never really close friends, all right? And that he's just delusional and that Ethan is crazy. Then yet, why is your first video all about helping your friend and that we should empathize him? It just contradicts the first one, making it completely pointless. Which, actually, speaking of contradictory, the CPS call was never mentioned at all. The whole CPS thing, people coming to Ethan's house to take his children away, that was never mentioned at all in the first video. So then we get to the second one, and he acts like as if he brought it up in the first one, when that isn't even the case. But on top of that, he actually tries to make an excuse and even blames Ethan for why CPS was called on him.
So of course, Ethan, having made so many enemies over the years, other people react to his content. And when other people see that he's talking about his children getting giardia from dog poop.
Sonny's crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. He has giardia.
People are quite reasonably concerned. And so, yes, anyone who's seeing that content might be concerned enough to call CPS, including Ethan's own chat, which, by the way, is not a measly number. It's about 26,000 at the time of this stream. So there are 26,000 people listening to Ethan go into great detail over 7 or 8 minutes about diarrhea, viscosity of diarrhea, his child having giardia, him and his whole family having giardia. They're calling it the poop house. Now what Ethan does, instead of taking any responsibility for sharing too much on his live stream, is that he decides to attack specific creators like Idubbbz and say she was the source of the CPS.
Now, I actually don't disagree with Idubbbz's point of oversharing, alright? It's one of the things I don't like doing myself, and I kind of advise people not to overshare about their personal life, especially on the internet when you're in commentary or just really any genre or any type of part of the internet, just because it can be used against you. However, what that doesn't mean is that you don't get to call CPS, alright? Because here's the thing, his kids never had the disease, right? They never had it, their dog did, but they never did, alright? And this, somehow, Idubbbz tries to twist it to where, because of that, you know, fans and people were concerned for Ethan's kids, alright? And that they did it out of kindness, you know, and that's why they called it. And basically tries to justify the call and blames Ethan for it. Doesn't even acknowledge how people in Hassan's community dismissed it, laughed at it, or just didn't care at all. And actually they probably even provoked the whole idea. I wouldn't be surprised if someone from that community was behind it, especially knowing that they're crazy enough to send human skulls to Ethan's house. Yes, that actually happened, by the way.
There's something that I've never talked about publicly, but around the same time, we received 2 human skulls in the mail at our home, which led us to having a very pleasant interview with the FBI. Things have progressed well past the point of that's just what the internet does.
But here's the other thing that he fails to mention. Ever since Ethan became a father, there's been countless rumors and attempts of getting Ethan's kids taken away, alright? I bet you this isn't the first time CPS has been called to Ethan's house, and I bet you this isn't the first time they've said shit like this, alright? The whole rumor of, you know, Ethan being a neglectful father, abusive, or just, you know, any type of rumor like that has always been around ever since Ethan became a father, alright? So, yeah, the fact that the idea of Ethan bringing it upon himself is complete and utter bullshit. He also talks about how there was nothing he could have done in this situation, when really, yes, Ethan was mad because you've known him, you've been friends with him for years. Maybe you should come out and say, hey, Ethan isn't a neglectful father. I really doubt he would do that to his own children. That's all you had to say. You didn't have to pick a side, or if you really wanted to be friends with these people, you didn't have to pick a side. All you had to do was say, hey, the shit that they're saying about Ethan being a terrible father is complete bullshit. Their kids are fine. Everything's fine. Calling CPS is a terrible thing. Don't do it. Alright? Literally, that's all they had to do. And also, the people who called CPS, they didn't do it out of concern. They did it to fuck with Ethan. It was literally an attempt to get his kids taken away, which, I mean, for this online bullshit, I'm sorry, but that's just, no, that is completely out of line. People who have nothing to do with this, literally innocent children, alright? Ian and Nisa are no longer hosting Creator Clash 3 because of this drama, right? And here's the interesting thing. None of the fighters were informed until the video dropped. And I'm just gonna flash this on screen right here. So yeah, that's one of the fighters. I believe it's Rocket Jump or something. This guy is he started off as a YouTuber, but I believe has worked in other types of media like TV shows, you know, high-end production stuff. And basically the gist of it here is that he's disappointed by the lack of professionalism. How they weren't told ahead of time, and how stuff like this can, you know, not only look unprofessional, but also deter other people from ever working with them. And it's just really a bad look. And over what? Internet drama with people that have nothing to do with this drama or aren't even interested. Which, yes, Ian doesn't take any accountability for this at all. He has not only mishandled one Creator Clash event, but a second one before it even began. I'm serious, this event is 2 months away, and the only publicity is gone is this negative publicity. It got to the point where 2 fighters have dropped out. The main event himself, Harley, who, by the way, was a big supporter of the event, and really, Idubbbz as a whole, dropped out. Now, we don't know exactly why he dropped out of his own volition, so we don't know yet exactly what the details are, but I'm guessing there's an NDA or some type of contract involved where he can't disclose that, so we'll probably find out very soon as to why he dropped out. But it definitely is because of the whole Ethan and Hassan thing. Another one that also dropped out is Lenya Ada, who is an employee of Ethan Klein on the H3 podcast. And the reason she dropped out was simply because, one, she didn't want to deal with the harassment that she was going to get if she was promoting the fight, and she didn't want to deal with the harassment of not promoting the fight. Ian basically put her in a tough position. She hadn't said anything about the drama. She stayed relatively silent about it. She just wanted to focus on the boxing. But because of this whole thing of Ian putting his fighters in a weird positioning and opening his mouth, she had to drop out. Because she didn't want to be distracted from all the negative publicity, attention, and just dealing with haters while she's trying to focus on boxing. And yeah, whether or not it's up to you if you want to believe that's the reason, Ian tries to say that Ethan forced her, when in reality Ethan said that if she wanted to pull out, he can very well reimburse her for the money she spent on her training and everything, because he knows damn well Ian's not going to pay her. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. Apparently there were some fighters that got paid up front and some didn't. So yeah, once again, great spending habits of Creator Clash. Now, it's up to you if you want to believe that's the reason why she put on. I feel like there's a bit more to it, but that's all we know as of right now. But I do want to bring up how Ethan did say that he's not going to be promoting the boxing event, but if she stayed on, he would have been still supporting her, which, I don't know, to me, that doesn't seem like a tyrant boss to me. But unironically, Idubbbz is much more of an irresponsible boss than Ethan is. I mean, look at what his reason is as to why he pulled out from Creator Clash 3.
Of the event. Yeah, I mean, I think it had to come to this eventually. I can't keep my mouth shut. I can't, I mean, I can. I just didn't want to. I want to be frank. I want to be honest. I was very quiet during the second Creator Clash because I was afraid of how that would impact other people. This year I said I'm going to do something different. I'm going to fight back if someone's trying to attack me. So that's what I did. And now I've realized, like, I can't really have my cake and eat it too. It's either you're going to talk shit like a foul beast on the internet, or you're going to have a charity event. You know, it really can't be both.
Instead of staying professional by keeping your mouth shut and waiting until after the event to make your response, you instead decide to fuck over your fighters, your fans, and really anyone supporting the event or working for it just because you wanted to roll around the mud with Ethan. Oh, but wait, whose fault was it again that you said?
Can't wait for them to blame us for their failed event. Don't worry, Hila. I'm not going to blame you guys for anything Creator Clash related. I know you're terrified of taking accountability for anything, so that will rest solely on my shoulders. But I can't speak for the internet. The internet might actually blame you guys for it.
You're delusional as fuck. It's your fault fans are demanding for refunds, which apparently are limited refunds, apparently. It's your fault why nobody wants to box in your event. Yeah, supposedly Ice Poseidon and Technone have, like, been reached out by Ian to box in their event, and they all said they're not interested. Like I said, if Ian wasn't such a sore loser, Creator Clash 3 might have been successful. But yet, here we are. Yes, we're going to talk about the sword, alright? And before we even talk about it, two things. No, I don't think Ian is a racist, a neo-Nazi, a Nazi, or, anti-Semitic, or any of that kind of other stuff, alright? I don't think he is any of that. At least I hope not. And two, yes, I know the sword is from an anime called Bleach. It's a good anime. And, I know the sword is rooted in Buddhism and all that other stuff. But in the context of this video and what Ian is trying to do, that doesn't matter, alright? So let's get right into it, alright? Because Ian keeps dancing around this subject like as if his wife had AIDS or something and he just discovered that for the first time. Who knows? Maybe she does. I don't know. So in the debate that Ethan had with Hassan, he asked Hassan why they chose that sword, and according to Hassan, it was Ian's idea and that he wasn't even in the room when he picked out the sword, and, that they should be asking that to Ian, even though, A, the sword belongs to Hassan, and Hassan is referred to it as the Nazi sword multiple times and has admitted that he has never seen Bleach at all, alright? But let's go to Ian. Well, according to Ian, he doesn't want to talk about the subject, he thinks it's retarded and pointless, and how he just picked the sword at random, which I don't believe that. I feel like it was intentional choosing that sword because, this is the same guy who has said this.
To shake Japanese drink soda before you open top and drink. Taste will be better. From Senpai.
And has done this.
Point quite well that we are very fucking stupid to hold the word.
Alright, this is what this guy is known for. And let's be honest, you're really going to sit there and tell me that at no point while filming the video, taking photos, acting like a jackass with the sword, at no point did he ever notice the handle? Did he not look at it and say, that reminds me of something. I don't know what it is. Oh, wait, it looks like a Nazi symbol. Maybe I shouldn't include it in the video where I'm trying to be empathetic to Ethan. And the fact that he doesn't want to debate about the subject or even, barely mention it at all makes me think it was intentional. All right, it clearly was. I just refuse to believe it, especially for someone who claims to be socially aware. No, I just refuse to believe it. I think it was intentional. It was clearly a fuck you to Ethan. All right, that's literally what it was. The whole video is, these two videos are that. Just him being completely petty, getting ass mad the fact that he couldn't defend his friend when he really should have, and instead chose over a bunch of leeches that would have easily betrayed him at any moment. Oh my god, how the mighty have fallen. Are you kidding me? This guy used to be feared. This was someone that everyone was afraid of interacting or getting in his way. All right, everyone was afraid that this guy would make a video on them, and yet here we are. Guy makes 2 videos on H3H3, and they're by far the worst videos he has ever made, and they've done nothing but unironically help Ethan's career and just prove how right he is. They made him credible, which I hate saying. I don't like Ethan at all, and yet this guy's become credible now. But like all great things, they're gonna fall. All right, there's probably gonna come a time where Ethan is gonna fuck up, and it's gonna be back to square one. But as of right now, he's winning. And I hate to say that, and that's one thing I can't believe I thought I'd say it. But yeah, Ian is a joke. Idubbbz is a fucking joke. All right. Nobody should take this guy seriously ever fucking again. And supposedly, at the end of his video, or towards the end, he said he had more in the tank. So, I mean, that'll be interesting to see a 3rd content cop. I mean, that's never been done before, but who knows? We'll see. I mean, H3H3 reacted to the video, or half of it, and he said he's not going to make a video response, but he's just going to react to it. So, we'll see from here. But yeah, Creator Clash is down in the drain. People are trying to get their refunds. Nobody wants to participate. Idubbbz practically lost any respect. Can't even make a good video to save his own ass. Guy's a failure. With that being said, I am back as well. I'm back. It's good to be back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to check out my other videos. Dislike the video if you dislike it. I promise to show you the actual statistics. Oh yeah, that's another thing too. Idubbbz didn't even show the actual dislike. He says it was bullshit and it was more likes, but yet didn't show the actual results. What a bitch. Anyways, that being said, I am out.